All right, welcome everyone to the May 2022 OpenZFS leadership meeting. The months keep flying by, and we're getting closer to the next OpenZFS conference. I'll have a few notes on that, but we'll take a look at the agenda. There's not too much on it, so lots of time for other topics that folks would like to discuss today. I'll start with somebody put this on the agenda. I'm not sure who, but it was a link to the FIEMAP PR. I saw some discussion on that recently. Were there particular questions? I'm not sure who added it, so.
I think there was just some recent interest in getting that change cleaned up and merged, which I agree with. And I think we might have some interested folks picking up that work, but we'll see.
Cool. Yeah, I think that I spurred that on years ago with my with a proposal to do kind of a subset of that with like a custom ioctl. We're still using that in our product, by the way. And I think you probably saw I opened a PR to like make some minor improvements to that performance-wise.
Yeah.
Which I should finish up.
Yeah, I think the FIEMAP stuff could be wrapped up. I guess just to summarize, there was just some outstanding review comments there about things we could do better. I know you made a pass at initial review, and then I never got back to cleaning it up and getting it all tested. There's still some work to be done there. I think it's all very doable. It just needs to get wrapped up.
Cool. Any other questions on that? All right, that was the only thing that was in the agenda doc. So other topics that folks would like to cover today?
I just make a call for additional reviewers of the Blake 3 changes. So I made a pass over that and things are looking really good to me. I think they're in good shape. I'd like to go ahead and merge them this week, the end of this week if possible. So if people have additional feedback or comments or concerns, please take a look at the pull request and post anything post your thoughts.
Can you remind folks, is there anything in that, so it's adding a new checksum algorithm. Is there anything kind of unique or special about how that's implemented compared to the existing checksum algorithms?
No, not really. It's implemented the same way as the EdenR stuff and the Skyeng stuff. It's plumbed in exactly the same way in all the same places. It's got good test cases. It's got test vectors for user space in the test suite. There's a couple assembly implementations for non-x86 architectures, but those are all pulled from upstream. And like if you've got a PowerPC or an ARM box and you want to test those out, that would be really good. We've done some of that. But any additional testing would be welcome. I put it through the paces locally myself, at least on x86, and it held up quite well. So it looks like a hands down win for need a better checksum.
The assembly implementations aren't just from upstream.
Oh, they're not?
And I know because they came from me.
Well, I misunderstood that. Sorry.
No, I should be more precise. A bunch of them, like the x86 ones, all came from upstream. But I believe the ARch64 one and the PowerPC one both got programmatically generated from the x86 intrinsics because there wasn't an upstream one that was faster, and it works fine, mostly. I submitted a fix for that. No, I tested the PPC64 one on little endian at least. And after the fix that I made, it works. And the ARch64 one I originally did because upstream has a native ARch64 one, but it's much slower. So.
Okay.
But no, those didn't all come from upstream. So if you're just trusting them for that reason, just be aware.
Good to know.
Cool. And are the is it using the salted checksum stuff that we introduced with those other algorithms?
Yes, I believe so.
Cool.
I have to go back and
Um,
double check, but
That's fine. This sounds good. Out of curiosity, are we doing automated tests with on ARM?
we are not. We should. We're
Yeah.
really close because we've got the Graviton stuff in AWS we
Yeah.
can use. But we're not at the moment. We're building there. We're just not running the full test suite.
Okay, so we do a build on ARM64, but we're not running the test suite. Yeah, that would be cool. I think, you know, I'm specifically interested in the Graviton processors. So, you know, if the project did the test suite there, that would be interesting.
It should be an easy thing to turn on. We just haven't done it yet. And then who knows if we'll hit some odd test case failures or something when we enable it, right? There might be little obstacles.
Cool.
One thing I would mention the Blake 3 PR adds is it adds a generic interface for checksumming benchmarks. So like the Fletcher for breakdown in /proc on Linux, it has one of those, but for all the implementations. So
Right.
like Skyne, SHA-512, and it has a breakdown of that.
Cool, that's great.
Right. Yeah.
All right, anything else on Blake? All right, what other topics would folks like to cover today?
I'm looking for reviewers for the BRT work. Alexander already did some initial review and found some interesting issues, I guess. So it would be great if this could move forward.
Yeah, I know you requested a review from me. I'm not sure how much time I'll have to spend on it. I would like to spend some time on at least the kind of high level aspect of it, but I'm not sure how much time I'll have.
I know I volunteered to review it too, and it's still on my list, but I'll get to it probably this week. At least make a pass.
I know it's hard for people to find time. That's why I also proposed like to meet for some time or even meet after the call, so I can walk anyone interested through the code, at least to get you some high level overview of what's going on there. So maybe it will be easier to figure it out. Alan already volunteered to stay after this call. So
yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, it would be great. I would just like to push this forward finally.
Yeah. Sounds good. The only other topic I had was the OpenZFS Developer Summit. So based on the feedback that we had from this group last month, we're going ahead with trying to plan an in-person event. That'll be in the Bay Area. We would love to have some help with the organizational aspects of it, as I mentioned last time. So if you or if you know someone at your company or in your community that could help with organizing it in terms of the logistics, you know, interfacing with the venue and, you know, maybe helping on the day of with, you know, all the vendors and registration and things like that, we could really use some help with it. But yeah, we're planning to go ahead with in person. We'll investigate like the venues that we've used before, and we'll keep folks attuned to that. hopefully in the next month or two, we'll have the details nailed down.
Matt, did Denise come up with a clear position from that company?
Not really.
Okay.
We're talking with her, but haven't really heard back on any specific like commitments of what they can do.
Understood.
So yeah. Any thoughts on that? We'd love to. We'll have a call for presentations soon. Once we have the date and everything, and have details so that speakers can know like when they would need to be available. I'd love to hear about BRT, hopefully, which will hopefully be closer to integration or integrated by that time. But yeah, I think there's been a lot of other interesting work that would also be great to hear about at the conference. Any other topics for today?
So, hello everyone. I believe 2 months ago, Alan raised some issue with the ZVOL performance and the PR that we proposed to smooth the throttling mechanism. Maybe you recall this case.
I don't.
I can put the PR into the chat, that everyone will be on the same page, actually.
Oh yes, right.
So,
smoothing.
Yeah, so the issue in general is that what we can see that when we are using the ZVOL, we are writing a lot of data, and the data aren't flashed to some level, and then suddenly they are flashed at once. And what we can see is that the flashing is like done in one, let's say, step, and that additional data is accepted until the flash is finished. Because of that, we can see that the bandwidth is dropping to 0 megabytes per second. We had a little bit hackish way of handling that to add additional delay to every write after some level of dirty data. But during the call, I believe it was 2 months ago or something, there was a couple of ideas which we can look into it. One of them was to add additional accounting and to add this additional size of the dirty buffer to the delay. So actually how it works right now is that we first decide how long we should delay for the transaction group, and then we add the dirty data to the counter. But because of that, we assume that we weren't able to delay the writes enough to fill up the dirty buffer. We test that, and it turns out that it doesn't help. It still behaves in the same manner. We also try to just add the accounting much earlier, so before actually doing the delay, but this didn't work as well. We looked into the accounting of the dirty data, and it seems to work fine. I mean, we couldn't find any place that actually was missing some where the substitution wasn't done actually. Yeah, and basically we are a little bit out of ideas what we can do else. We also, I have seen that MAF proposed some patch and some other PR that he pointed out that may be the cause of the issue, but unfortunately, nor the patch nor the reverting the comic that he pointed out help in this case as well. So we still see the same behavior.
All right. Yeah, I see the last couple comments are from Alexander, kind of saying like, oh, we should do it this other way. But it sounds like you're saying that didn't work.
Unfortunately, no.
All right. Yeah, it would probably be good to, mention that in the PR so that, Alexander understands.
Yeah, we had an also discussion on offline, and
Okay.
I was thinking that this is a good idea to raise this issue here as well. But yeah, we probably should also put some comments in the PR as well.
Yeah, I kind of assumed that it was like, oh, okay, well, that folks were going to take this other approach that Alexander had proposed, but it sounds like that's not going to work entirely, at least. Yeah, I don't have any specific ideas based on that. I know last time when we discussed it, there was concern about kind of the heuristics in here.
There was also one more thing about barrier, that we allow too many threads to write at the same time, but we also limited the threads actually to one thread, and it still behaved the same. So it's not the amount of the threads isn't the issue here.
Got it. Okay. So then what do we know what the problem is? Like, what's causing the problem?
So that's the main issue. We don't know the root cause of it.
Okay.
So what we can observe is that the dirty buffer is filling up, and suddenly it's just flushed. I trace it also with eBPF, and it seems that that the substitutions from Delta is done like in smaller steps, not like flashing all the data at once, but in smaller step. But still, we don't know what the root cause is, and we are a little bit out of idea what to look for.
All right. Yeah, that's a little unsatisfying. Because I think the just to summarize for other folks following along, I think the observed behavior is that the system gets to having like 100% dirty data, and then the delay is like super duper long, and then you're kind of stuck in that state until the TXT finishes syncing. And the mystery is like, it's not like, how did it get to 100% dirty data? Because as you can see from the graph here, maybe I'll share my screen so you can see the graph that you put in there. This is showing like, as the dirty data increases, the delay increases, and this is like a log graph, log scale of the delay. So when you're getting like close to having all the dirty data, the delay here is 10 milliseconds, which is a long time, especially if you're coming in like with just one thread, issuing write after write after write. Like in 1 second, it could only issue 100 writes when you're at this point. And somehow those 100 writes like filled us up all the way to 100%, or maybe the delay was not as big as it should have been, or something happened wrong that allowed us to get all the way to 100% dirty data and a huge delay. Is that an accurate summary of your understanding?
Yes, that's correct.
And so like is it true that this smooth delay, this is really the only impact of this PR, is like, when the dirty data is low and it has been high in the past, then we do this additional delay?
Yes, we do this. So the idea is that after reaching the maximum level, from after some period, we still add some delay, and this is this yellow delay that we actually still adding after reaching it. It doesn't solve the issue completely, but it's still like smoothing the bandwidth actually.
Yeah.
It's almost like the delay is coming in too late in the current algorithm somehow, and then being more aggressive
Yeah,
at the start.
I tried also to add those count of bytes before actually doing the delay. So we shouldn't like if we have a big bunch, then we still should have some delay, right? Because right now the counting is done after delay, but I also tried the patch to do it at the beginning, so at the start of the algorithm, and it still didn't work.
That would matter if your writes are very large compared to the whole dirty data limit, right? Like this is 4 gigabytes. If you're like, oh, I'm coming in with a 1 gigabyte write, then it would really matter whether you're doing the counting before or after. But if you're coming in with like a 8 kilobyte write, then it doesn't really matter. Do you know what size the writes are in the test that you're doing?
There should be a comment in this PR, if I recall correctly. I don't remember from the top of my head. No, it doesn't contain it. Let me check that then.
I mean, it can't be more than like I think it's like 16 megabytes.
Yeah,
a little bit more than that. Yeah, it's very surprising, especially with just one thread, that this yellow part would matter, because it's like, okay, yeah, like maybe it's smoother to do this yellow part, but it should like you're gonna get to this middle part where the behavior is the same, and then like what why would that matter? Like you're still in here in the middle, you're doing a little bit of delay, and then you get to close to here and then you're doing a bunch of delay, and then like something either goes wrong or doesn't go wrong, causing us to get up to 100%. So it's very confusing.
and I can share one more graph actually, which maybe will be more illustrative here. So I will try to share my screen then. So this is the graph how the dirty buffer is changing. We just attached to the dirty delta function, and we observe how it's changed during the time. So we can see that it's accepting the data, and suddenly it's flashing all at the same time.
Yeah, and so the scale here, the y-axis is bytes, I'm guessing.
The y is the bytes and x is the time.
And the top here is like 800. Is that 800 megabytes probably?
Yeah, something like that. It's
That's right.
something around like the maximum of dirty data. I believe we have 1 gigabyte of the buffer right now.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's a little, this is showing like, many TXGs. I wonder. Yeah. I mean, I would expect, like, this makes sense.
Yeah, this is sort of common.
After you run into the, like, when you run into the bug of like getting to 100% dirty data, then the delay is so great that, it's not till it drops way, once you hit that like 100-second delay, you're kind of stuck there for 100 seconds, and then it can all drain out. And then after the 100 seconds, you can come back in. The question is like, why did it get so high to begin with? And like, it's not all, I mean, this is not 1 gigabyte. It's like 700 to 800 megabytes. So, why are we even getting into this bug? Like, if you only get to 750 megabytes of dirty data, that's 75%. I mean, that should be still in the kind of smooth part of the curve. It shouldn't be at 100-second delay, and everything should be okay.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, you are right. Like, we shouldn't even enter to the smoothing mechanism, right?
Yeah, So are you sure that in this workload we are getting to the 100-second delay, or is it possible that like there's some other problem that's causing this sawtooth pattern?
I would need to double check that to
Okay.
be 100% sure if we are actually inserting the delays, because I did so many tests that I don't remember actually.
Yeah.
You know, but I remember there was we was also surprised about the amount of these delays that are that we actually insert.
Yeah, it might be interesting to look at like, you know, just a couple TXGs worth of time here, and then have this amount of dirty data and the amount of the delay kind of overlaid on top of it. That might give us a little bit more of a clue of what's going on here.
Okay, that's totally doable.
Cool. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting mystery here. And do you have steps to reproduce this in the?
Yes, it's 100% reproducible. I can also put it into the PR. I guess that would be the best place.
Yeah, that would be helpful in case other folks are also curious about what's going on here and want to try it themselves.
Sure.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Other topics? If there's no other topics for today, then I'm happy to turn over the meeting to Powell and his code review or code walkthrough. Although I don't see Alan here. He was the one that wanted to work on it with you, right?
So Alan actually mixed up the hours. He was thinking that the meeting is 1 hour later, time zones, I guess. So he will be probably this half hour late.
Okay, then I guess you can meet up with him in a half an hour. And do you, I don't think this Zoom will work for, like once we close it out, then I don't know if you can rejoin it. Do you want to like send out a Zoom link for folks that are interested in joining in a half an hour to do that?
Does Google Meet works for people too?
I have a meeting then, but Google Meet would work for me if I were available.
I'll just paste the link to Slack
Okay.
for Google Meet in half an hour.
Cool. Any other topics for today?
I think my questions were answered in Slack already, but I'm looking at implementing the multiple encryption keys as a undergrad research project. So I think it sounds like it's going to be pretty straightforward. There's already a wrapped master key, and so it's just implementing multiple ways to wrap that and the interface for that and where to store that and all that stuff. It doesn't sound like there's anything too surprising there. But if anybody knows of anything, I'm all ears. And I make no guarantees on producing a usable artifact by the end of the summer. But yeah, anything anybody has to say, I would love to hear. Like I said, I think my questions were already answered in Slack, I think.
Cool. Well, welcome to the community. And
thank you.
If you maybe if you come up with like a design in terms of what the user interface would look like, maybe that would be you share that with the team on either on Slack or like in a issue on GitHub, but also if you want to like make a little presentation about it here next month. Okay. I think that would be a good way to get feedback on the user interface.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, then we'll see you all in 4 weeks when we'll have the meeting at a later time. That will be the 21st of June. And I'll see you all then. Bye.